This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Holder. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And we start a brand new month. It's time for October the 1st, and on this date, 1950, Connie Mack managed his last game. I know you would say, what about Roger Maris? Well, I did that last year, and the rule of thumb is if I do something like last year, I can't repeat it. Anyway, so let's get an understanding of Connie Mack. He was a manager and team owner, the longest serving manager in baseball history. He managed for 50 years. Can you imagine? 50 years. To put that in perspective, I'm only 37 myself. So yeah, Connie Mack helped the Philadelphia A's from 1901 to 1950 in the modern day of the American League. So he broadcast. So he was manager in the first 50 years of the American League in the modern times. And it was 87 when he retired. 87. My mom's not even that old. And he was actually part owner of the Philly A's from 1901 to 1954 before they moved to Kansas City. Here's what's big. Mack's victory total is 830 plus more than second place, which is Tony La Russa. Not the great John McGraw, but Tony La Russa, who's still managing it, which is weird. Connie Mack actually was the first manager to win 3 World Series titles. He did it in 1910, 1911, 1929, and he had it one in 1930 for good measure. So he had 4 World Series titles as a manager. Oh no, sorry, 1931 as well. So he had 5 World Series titles. The third most by any manager to this day. I believe Casey Stengel and I'd like to say John McGraw, but I'm wrong. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But the funny thing about how good the Philly A's were, winning 5 World Series titles, is that they actually finished last place 17 times because of financial struggles. So yeah, he was a professional catcher, which was weird. And then his last 3 seasons in the National League was actually player manager of Pittsburgh from 1894 to 1896. And then he became manager for the minor league Milwaukee Brewers. But the Philly A's needed somebody to help out in their first year in the American League. So he jumped ship to Philadelphia and would help win over 3,500 games as a manager. The only problem was he lost more than he won. His winning percentage is .484, by the way, which means in every 1,000 games he managed, he would win 484 of them. So he won 9 pennants, winning 5 World Series titles. The 50-year tenure has never been seriously threatened by any coach or manager in the same team in North American professional sports. That's baseball, basketball, football, and yes, hockey. Well, a couple of college coaches have longer tenures. John Gagliardi was head football coach for 60 years at St. John's University in Minnesota. Eddie Robinson coached Grambling for 57 years, from 1941 to 1997. Joe Paterno was head coach 46 years out of 62 with Penn State. And Amos Alonzo Stagg, 55 years as head coach, but he only had 41 with University of Chicago. He was known for his intelligent managing, the tall tactician, because he was unusually tall. Although they're not telling me how tall he was. Well, he still holds lots of records and all that. He actually created a code of conduct for his teams in 1916. All that. So anyway, Mack never drank. He was a teetotaler, as they call it. However, his managerial style wasn't tyrannical. It was just easygoing. He just wanted his players to try their best and to have a code of conduct. He never imposed curfews or bed checks. It was huge. You know, Rube Waddell was pretty good. He was a good pitcher, but he was a distraction off the field. A lot of people say Waddell was autistic. Probably, probably not. Who knows? Well, his managerial approach was easy. He favored a set lineup, did not platoon hitters, preferred young players to veterans, and power hitters to those with high batting averages. He didn't pinch hit for them. He didn't really use his bench players or sacrifice much. He liked big inning offense and did not like to intentionally walk people. That was pretty amazing and all that. You know. So, anyway. Yeah. The funny thing is that when New York Giants manager John McGraw in 1905 won the World Series title for the Giants 4-1 against the Philly A's in 1905, he said that Mack had a big white elephant on his hands with the A's. However, well, a white elephant is basically an overpriced thing that they can't get rid of. Anyway, Mack defiantly adopted the white elephant as the team's logo, which the A's use today. And in fact, Mack would have his famous $100,000 infield of Eddie Collins, Homer Baker, Jack Barry, and Steffi McGinnis. Now, bear in mind that $100,000 went a long way in the 1910s compared to the 2010s. So, in fact, they won 3 World Series titles and shockingly lost to the Boston Braves in 1914, which those Braves had no business being in the World Series in the first place. Unfortunately, financial problems would ruin the team, and basically they get good players for cheap, and then they would have to sell them off to try to keep the team afloat. Yeah, they lost in 1931. My apologies. I thought I said they won. But anyway, yeah, they won in 29-30. But of course, financial difficulty again, and the A's just were dismal. In fact, between 1935 and 1946, they were in the basement in the AL every year except for a 5th place finish in 1944. Unfortunately, Mack, once he hit his 80s, his keen mind faded rapidly. But, you know, he was in his 80s. I mean, he's an old person. All that. Anyway, Connie Mack was actually honored by baseball throwing out the first pitch at the 1950 All-Star game. But anyway, yeah, he had some great years winning all these titles. 3,582 wins as an AL manager. To put that perspectively, you would have to win 100 games. The great teams win 100 games every year. You would have to do that 36 years to even come close to Mack's record. You have to win 100 games every year for 36 years. And that's hard to do. I'm barely above 36 years old. And that's amazing. So Connie Mack did his job. He had a giant legacy. In fact, Shibe Park was renamed Connie Mack Stadium in 1953 and was still Connie Mack Stadium until 1970 when the stadium was demolished for Veterans Stadium. He did a lot of things. But he was just iconic. And that's the way it is with him. Connie Mack was an icon. Don't you forget it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.